Most people lose their power in public long before they even realize they had any. They assume the world is neutral, that everyone's too occupied to notice them, that their words, gestures and reactions drift away unnoticed. But the truth is, every glance, every movement, every silence is being recorded by those around you. You're constantly being measured, ranked, and categorized within invisible hierarchies that decide who gets respected, who gets ignored, and who gets quietly stepped over. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. The public eye isn't a mirror, it's a scale. It doesn't reflect you, it weighs you. And the moment you start leaking your composure, your value begins to drop. Imagine walking into a room where everyone is desperate to be liked. They overtalk, overexplain, overreact. The loudest one believes he's winning attention, but in truth, he's only revealing his hunger for approval. The quiet one, meanwhile, barely says a word, yet everyone feels his gravity. That's the Machiavellian paradox. Power doesn't shout, it waits. It stays still long enough for others to lean in. When you move through public spaces, you're not just existing, you're performing, whether you intend to or not. Every word, gesture, and tone teaches people how to treat you. But most people perform unconsciously. They play the roles of the desperate, the apologetic, the harmless. They don't realize that in public, control isn't about dominance, it's about restraint. Your strength doesn't come from what you project, but from what you protect. So let's examine the 15 public behaviors that quietly dismantle your presence, the ones Machiavelli would have warned his prince never to display. The first, over-explaining yourself. It's such a common habit that it feels harmless, even polite. You're late to a meeting and you start listing reasons. You're asked why you made a choice and you spend 5 minutes justifying it. But every explanation beyond necessity makes you smaller. It signals uncertainty, that you're unsure whether you had the right to act freely. Machiavelli would say, if your decision is just, it justifies itself. The more you explain, the more authority you surrender. Those in power give reasons only when they choose to, not because they fear being judged. The more comfortable you become with silence after a decision, the more others start to interpret your restraint as confidence. They might not even agree with you, but they'll respect the fact that you don't bend under their questioning. The second, over-apologizing. Saying sorry once for a mistake shows strength. Saying it twice shows awareness. But saying it 3 times becomes submission. The moment your language begins to orbit around others' approval, you lose control of the frame. Machiavelli believed that mercy should be offered strategically, never habitually, and the same applies to apology. Constantly apologizing for existing, interrupting, or taking space teaches others that your presence is negotiable. Instead, correct gently, not emotionally. You can say, "That wasn't my intention," or "I see your point," and still maintain power. The key is emotional steadiness. Your apology should sound like an act of leadership, not desperation. Third, laughing too loudly or too often. This one cuts deeper than it seems, because humor is socially rewarded. But Machiavelli would say that laughter is a currency of alliance. And when you spend it too freely, you reveal a hunger to belong. The powerful laugh selectively. They let others earn their amusement. Excessive laughter, especially at others' jokes or just to fill silence, signals low status. It's a public display of compliance, a sign that you fear disconnection more than you value composure. This doesn't mean you should become robotic. It means you should protect your joy as if it were valuable. When your laughter carries intention, it turns into influence. People notice when they've earned your laughter, and they value it. Fourth, over-nodding or seeking validation. Pay attention to how often your head moves when someone speaks. Most people nod compulsively, not because they agree, but because they fear appearing disinterested. Yet to Machiavelli, constant agreement was a dangerous habit. It revealed a servant's mind. You can listen deeply without signaling submission. Stillness in conversation makes people second-guess their assumptions about you. It creates mystery. Are you impressed, skeptical, or indifferent? They don't know, and that uncertainty makes them cautious. You become someone to impress, not someone to convince. The goal isn't to appear cold, but discerning. When people realize you don't reward every word with affirmation, your approval becomes rare and therefore powerful. Fifth, being too predictable in your reactions. One of Machiavelli's most cunning lessons was to never let others fully read you. Predictability breeds comfort, and comfort makes you easy to manipulate. Think about it. If everyone knows exactly how you'll respond to anger, flattery, or stress, they can control you with precision. The person who stays emotionally consistent yet strategically unpredictable keeps others slightly on edge, and that tension keeps power alive. It's not always about strength. Often, it's about the fear of not knowing. So next time someone tries to provoke you in public, delay your reaction. Let silence linger a moment longer than usual. That pause alone makes them wonder whether they've just crossed a line they shouldn't have. In that instant, without raising your voice, you've shifted control. You'll notice something. All 5 of these behaviors share a common root: fear of disconnection, fear of appearing rude, distant, or disliked. But Machiavelli saw that fear as the chain that binds most people to mediocrity. In public, the more you chase belonging, the more you reveal need. The powerful, on the other hand, create belonging by offering selective warmth. Their restraint draws people in, like a quiet flame in a cold room. Each of these cautions may seem small, a laugh here, an apology there, but that's how influence erodes, one harmless habit at a time. Public spaces are like distorted mirrors. People don't just see what you show, they interpret what you leak. If your body language whispers insecurity while your words shout confidence, they'll believe the whisper. That's why Machiavelli emphasized not charm, but control. Not the illusion of strength, but the discipline of silence. The next time you walk into a room, don't think about how to impress anyone. Think about what not to reveal. Your composure, your stillness, your minimal explanations. All of these are silent signals that you belong to yourself, not to the crowd. And when the crowd senses that independence, they begin to orbit around you. The moment they realize they can't easily predict you, they start to respect you. The moment they sense that your attention is rare, they start to crave it. This is the foundation of true presence. Before charisma, before strategy, before any spoken word, comes restraint. That's what Machiavelli taught. Power doesn't announce itself, it withholds. And what you withhold in public determines how the world calculates your worth. There's a certain kind of person who walks into a room and instantly lowers their own presence. Not because they're rude or arrogant, but because they leak too much of themselves. They talk too much, explain too much, display too much. Every thought becomes public property. They mistake transparency for trust, and in doing so, they surrender the only advantage power ever has: mystery. Machiavelli warned that those who expose their soul in public soon find themselves ruled by people who never even revealed their face. The 6th behavior to avoid: sharing personal struggles in public spaces. We live in an age where people confuse vulnerability with strength, where openness is mistaken for respect. But Machiavelli would call that a miscalculation. When you share too much, especially your pain, you teach others exactly how to move you. You hand them your blueprint. The cold truth is that most people don't care as much as they pretend. They simply file that information away for later use. There's a time and place for honesty, but not every setting deserves your depth. Speak of your wounds only where trust has been earned, not where gossip can grow. The modern Machiavellian guards emotional privacy like treasure, not out of fear of judgment, but from understanding that mystery sustains respect. 7th, defending yourself in front of crowds. This is one of the most common traps people fall into. Someone questions your motives, mocks you publicly, or spreads half-truths, and your instinct is to correct them, to protect your image. But in public, defense rarely restores reputation. It only amplifies doubt. The moment you start explaining yourself to a crowd, the accuser becomes the author of your story. Machiavelli advised rulers to let false accusations decay on their own. The wise understand that silence makes rumors look small. Outrage makes them look real. Defend your name through your results, not your reactions. Let time and excellence speak while you remain composed. The crowd will always remember who panicked and who didn't. 8th, mocking others casually. It's easy to disguise cruelty as humor. People laugh, and for a moment it feels powerful. But what's really happening is exposure. You've revealed that your confidence depends on belittling others. Machiavelli believed that ridicule is a blade that cuts both ways. It harms your target, yes, but it also exposes your insecurity. When you mock someone, you're admitting that you needed an audience to validate your superiority. The powerful don't seek laughter at another's expense. They let others destroy themselves through their own foolishness. So the next time you're tempted to make a joke that places someone beneath you, stop. Let your silence make them irrelevant instead. Dignity will always outlast amusement. 9th, constantly checking your phone in public. It sounds harmless, but it's one of the clearest modern signs of low control. It shows the world that you're addicted to validation, and even while physically surrounded by people, you're there but not really present. Machiavelli never saw smartphones, but he understood distraction. He warned against rulers who surrendered their focus to comfort, because distraction weakens perception. Every time you reach for your phone mid-conversation, you announce that your attention is cheap, and cheap. Attention never commands respect. The simple act of not touching your phone while others can see you has become rare, and rarity is the foundation of status. Let others scroll. You observe. They consume. You calculate. 10th, trying to dominate conversations. There's a difference between presence and pressure. When you dominate discussions, interrupt others, or always have the final word, it may feel like control, but in reality, you're broadcasting insecurity. You're showing that silence threatens you, that you fear irrelevance. Machiavelli taught that the most dangerous man in the room is the one who listens and measures. Speaking too much is like showing your entire hand before the game even begins. When you hold back, people start filling in the blanks themselves, and ironically, they often imagine you as far more intelligent than you might actually be. The goal isn't to dominate every conversation. It's to make every word you do speak land with weight. Let's pause for a moment, not to summarize, but to look beneath these 5 lessons. They all orbit around one idea: overexposure. Whether it's oversharing, defending, mocking, distracting, or dominating, it's the same disease. Too much signal, not enough silence. People believe visibility equals power, but Machiavelli understood the opposite. Power lives in scarcity. The less you reveal, the more others project onto you, and the more they project, the more influence you quietly gain. Machiavelli taught that the most dangerous man in the room is the one who listens and measures. Speaking too much is like revealing your entire hand before the game begins. When you hold back, people fill in the blanks themselves, and ironically, they often imagine you as far more intelligent than you might actually be. The goal isn't to dominate every conversation. It's to make every word you do speak carry weight. Pause for a moment. Not to summarize, but to look beneath these 5 behaviors. They all revolve around one principle: overexposure. Whether it's oversharing, defending, mocking, distracting, or dominating, it's the same problem: too much signal, not enough silence. People think visibility is power, but Machiavelli knew the opposite. Power lives in scarcity. The less you reveal, the more others project onto you, and the more they project, the more influence you quietly gain. The average person in public behaves like an open book. You can read their insecurity in their face, their need for recognition in their tone, their hunger for control in their interruptions. The Machiavellian mind, however, operates like a locked diary, polite, calm, and unreadable. They allow others to wonder what's inside, but never confirm it. That curiosity turns into respect, and eventually into quiet fear. If you want to see this principle in action, watch people who lead without titles. They don't speak often, but when they do, the room stills. They don't seek eyes, eyes find them. Their posture says, "I don't need to be understood." And that alone makes people crave their understanding. You don't have to act cold or superior to reach this point. You just have to master one law in public: give people less of yourself than they expect. Most people are desperate to be seen. The powerful are comfortable being slightly misunderstood. Mystery isn't confusion, it's control. The moment people can't fully predict you, respect comes instinctively. Machiavelli would have put it simply, the one who controls perception, controls power, and perception isn't built by words, but by what you leave unsaid. There's a pattern you'll notice once you train your eye. Those who fall from grace in public almost always do it themselves. They aren't undone by enemies or rivals. They're undone by small, careless leaks of ego. You can trace their downfall to moments that seemed harmless at the time. A brag, a burst of emotion, a misplaced moral speech. Machiavelli studied these collapses and understood what most people still don't. Ruin begins with visibility. The next 5 public behaviors show exactly how it happens. 11th, publicly seeking credit or recognition. It feels natural because modern life rewards visibility. We're taught that if we don't show our success, it doesn't exist. But Machiavelli would laugh at that idea. When you demand acknowledgement through words, hints, or exaggerated self-praise, you reveal insecurity, and the powerful can smell it from a distance. The truly confident don't chase applause. They let their silence make people talk. When you seem to need validation, you become someone others can control through it. When overlooked, say nothing. When praised, say even less. Let curiosity do your PR. The world always overestimates those who seem too composed to brag. 12th, arguing to be right instead of respected. There's no faster way to lose influence than to win an argument the wrong way. People rarely remember who had better logic. They remember who carried themselves with authority. Machiavelli taught that perception often matters more than truth. You can win a debate and still lose the audience if you look desperate to prove your point. The wise know when to surrender the appearance of victory for the preservation of dominance. Sometimes silence wounds more than rebuttal. The man who doesn't defend every accusation looks like he knows something. Others don't. And that is authority you cannot fake. 13th, showing emotional reactions instantly. Everyone believes they're composed until someone presses the right button. That's the real test of control. When anger, irritation, or embarrassment flashes across your face in public, you reveal your trigger points. Anyone observant can now move you like a puppet. Machiavelli warned that your enemies should never know what delights or disturbs you. Both are forms of leverage. Train yourself to delay reaction, not suppress emotion, but delay its exposure. A few seconds. Pause before you respond will make others question whether you're calm or calculating. Both interpretations work in your favor. 14th, being loud about morality. This one destroys reputations faster than scandals. People who preach their moral purity in public think they're earning admiration, but they're actually setting traps for themselves. The louder you declare your goodness, the more others watch for hypocrisy. Machiavelli understood that humans are naturally flawed, self-interested and contradictory. Pretending otherwise invites destruction. The wise don't announce virtue, and they act with quiet consistency and let others infer it. Every moral exhibitionist eventually drowns in their own spotlight. The powerful, however, protect their reputation by staying just mysterious enough that no one knows where to aim the stone. 15th, displaying envy or bitterness in public. This may be the most revealing of all. Envy exposes hierarchy. The moment you show bitterness towards someone else's success, you announce that you've placed them above yourself. Envy signals dependence. You have something I cannot create. Machiavelli would advise converting envy into study, rather than reacting emotionally. Dissect how they got it, what they did differently, and how you can outmaneuver them later. Public resentment makes you look powerless. Private analysis makes you dangerous. The goal isn't to appear emotionless, but untouchable. Bitterness is cheap. Silence, meanwhile, looks like strategy. When you think about these 15 behaviors together, a theme emerges. The public world rewards those who remain emotionally disciplined. It isn't about pretending to be perfect. It's about mastering contrast. You must learn to be internally alive, but externally still. That's how power operates. The people who appear calm are often boiling inside, but they never let the crowd taste their emotion. Machiavelli believed restraint isn't weakness, it's weaponry. The more unpredictable your expression, the harder it is for others to map your mind. Consider how kings and politicians handle attention. The ones who seem invincible don't constantly prove themselves. They appear detached, even indifferent. Their distance breeds speculation, and speculation breeds myth. When people cannot read you, they start projecting onto you. Some see kindness, others see ruthlessness, but all agree you hold control. That's the psychology of power in public. You don't need to be flawless. You need to be unreadable long enough for others to guess wrong. And there's another layer. In Machiavelli's world, public behavior wasn't just social, it was political. Every interaction could be an opportunity or a trap. Smiling at the wrong person, defending the wrong friend, or speaking too freely could shift alliances overnight. Today, the rule applies in subtler ways. Every room, workplace, or online post is a mini-court. Every gesture is interpreted for rank. The difference between power and embarrassment often comes down to 1 second of composure, or the lack of it. So if you ever wonder how to appear powerful without saying a word, remember this: control the tempo of your exposure. Speak slower than expected. React later than predicted. Reveal less than they want. Each micro-delay plants seeds of respect because it signals inner stability. People crave leaders who don't get pulled by noise. You become that presence by resisting the same impulses that rule everyone else. And it's in public where this resistance matters most. Private strength doesn't count until it's tested openly. Anyone can look composed alone. The challenge is to appear untouchable when the room turns against you. Machiavelli would say that's when your true education begins. When you can walk through chaos and leave no emotional footprint behind, you've become more than liked. You've become untouchable.